It's Saturday night, 6:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Things are about to get cold. About to get cold. Speaking of cold, I have been sick as a dog over the past few days. I think since Wednesday, and it's finally starting to tail off. I'm starting to feel a little better. Almost, well, not quite back to normal, but almost back to normal. And well, somewhat. I'm having my first ale in a while. I haven't had an ale in God knows how long. But yeah, so kind of somewhat back to normality. Um, Still feeling the effects, of course. But I wanted to quickly come in here to kind of talk about what's going to be happening a little bit later on this evening. Sorry, guys. A little bit later this evening, about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time Zone, East Coast. News Nation will be carrying a special live report or interview on another whistleblower. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but apparently has to do with a UFO crash retrieval disclosure. So, how far that goes, we'll see. This might be a little bit more info than that's been previously given to Congress during their uh, reports, but this should be pretty interesting nonetheless. More info. Now, obviously, it's up to you guys. Up to you guys if you believe it or not. Of course, it's always up to your own your own perception, discretion, whatever you want to say. It's up to you if you believe it or not. I mean, yeah, you have your people who are very, very, skeptical, and you should be. I mean, you can't believe everything. But again, you can't believe everything that, you know, what's being told to you on the sort of mainstream sort of circuit either. They're going to fill you full of rosary flowers and nicely smelling whatever. Hey, B, how are you? Whatever. I can't smell anyways. That's the one thing my sense of smell I still haven't regained. I mean I can smell, but my sinuses are still clogged from the cold. And as you can tell, my voice is raspy. And I hate to say this. I hate to say this, but I didn't want to do this because I keep thinking, I don't want to say this, but I keep thinking about Gareth and when he did a sixth stream. Guys, I'm not that bad. I'm telling you right now. I just want to say, you know, but I keep thinking of that when I thought about doing this. Um, but anyways, I'm feeling 100 times better. I really am, and hopefully back to normality in the next day or two. But and I know a lot of you out there remember Gareth's sixth stream, unfortunately. Unlike him, I'm drinking real OJ. No, but I just want to say, yeah. So 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, News Nation will be carrying the UFO crash retrieval disclosure interview. And again, if you've been following this, I mean, I've been sitting on the the sidelines of this. I've been, like I said, I've been in and out of consciousness for the past. a few days, man. Like I said, this cold is beating me up. So I haven't really been following too much. I've been trying to, but I just my attention span's been shot due to the cold and just other distractions. But whatever. I look forward to watching this interview. Like I'm sure many of you are going to watch it, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to have live streams, and you're going to get their takes on it. Everyone's going to have their personal takes on it, opinions, and rightfully so. But whatever. Um, should be interesting nonetheless. Add to the lore of disclosure, if you will. Um, yeah, 2025 has been off to one hell of a start already. Like I said, it's been crazy between on the eve, well, pretty much the eve. Hey, Adrian, how are you? The eve of Trump becoming, what is it, the 47th president of the US. And me being in Canada. Hey Steven, how are you? Me being in Canada, of course, him threatening us with his tariffs. Will he impose those tariffs? I don't know. Um I you like to hope he's not that much of a megalomaniac, but of course he is. But he has to understand it's not only going to affect us, it's going to affect him as well, the US as well. You know, and not to mention the tariffs that we're going to retaliate with. And there's many that we can, because I mean everyone knows about the how Canada is rich in resources, and of course, everything from clean water to oil and uranium. Yes, hey Melissa. Yes, I'm feeling a little better. Almost 100%. Not quite, but almost there. But it should be an interesting couple days. On the tariff front, if that's going to happen or not. Hey, Lorenzo, how are you? 51st state. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. What comic book are you reading? If anything, the U.S. would become the 11th province. Yeah, I mean the only opposition here is in Alberta, and to be honest, um, it's going to be a federal response. So provincially, it won't matter. It'll be a federal response to how they want to sort of. I To be honest, it's just more Trump rhetoric. To be honest, what I'm thinking when if Trump loves to be front and center and get the discussion going, and whether it be good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's like his take of wanting to purchase or take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, and I understand from their perspective. In this day and age, and I don't want to get into too many political discussions. I just don't want to do that right now. But I understand from a sort of a defensive sort of standpoint and a isolationism sort of, if you will, sort of scenario. How they want to bring everything back to the U.S. and with how things are globally, it's kind of hard to do that now. No matter what, it's just really hard. And I hear with the crap that's been going on with Trudeau for the past 7 years. or whatever it's been. It's just a joke. We will all be American citizens by 2026. Oh, excuse me, sorry. I think that's hilarious. Well, they're talking about, well, from what I understand, if it's not the US, with Canada, if it's not the US, it's gonna be the European Union. I know the European, we're like sitting ducks right now because of Trudeau is stepping down and them, trying to elect a new leader. But I mean, that, doesn't mean that Canada's for sale. It's not. Like, get it out of your fucking thick skulls. We're not sitting ducks. We've been through this several times. Um, why would it be, Stephen? Tell me. Tell me why it would be so much nicer. What would be nicer about Canada if we were taken over by the US? Tell me. Barring the last 7 years, Trudeau has fucking fucked things up, but I'm sorry. There are only a handful of states that I really like in the US. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the US and I've traveled to many parts of the US. For several years, I've been traveling the US. And I'm telling you, man, there's many parts of the US I don't feel safe in. I don't. I just don't. I don't think there's a part of Canada that I've traveled to ever where I've ever felt that. Ever. I mean, I've traveled to some pretty lowly places in Canada, wherever they are, and I've never felt that unsafe ever than I have in many parts of the US. You know, Barring the strength of the Canadian dollar, I get it. The Canadian dollar's not doing too well right now, but that's doing part and parcel to what's going on politically. And that's a part of the agenda, right? Let's beat them till they're, you know, down and out. But that's not going to happen. Yeah, Melissa. I look it. I have a lot of friends south of the border, a lot. And I travel down there quite a lot. And for the majority, I have nothing but great things to say about the US. There's some beautiful places in the US. There really is. Really is. But I mean, because the US, hey, Steve, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. But because they've spent so much time and money and effort in other places in the world and have neglected their inner cities and the cities, the major cities, many of the major cities in the US are decrepit, are falling apart. You know, and if they were to just reverse that and spend that money in the US, clean up the cities, clean up what they can before it's too late, but is it too late? Clean it up. Just clean it up, man. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great places in the US. I love the US. I love it. You know, there's a lot of people that I know in the US that live in the US that don't like living in the US. And I'm not saying that I'm a lefty or a righty. I'm politically, I'm not looking at this as a political sort of standpoint, right? All I'm saying is from my visuals, my experience of being in the US. Exactly, Lorenzo. Exactly. They're fucking deficit. They're fucking debt. You know, it's fiat money. The money that they're printing still is fiat. Literally fiat. There is no worth to it. And yet, when you look at the Canadian dollar as, compared to the American dollar, what is it, like 60? Hold on. It's a dollar 44. I think the last time I looked, a dollar 44 Canadian to the American greenback. And you sit there and go, why? Why? Look at Canada has so much potential. And that's the reason why you heard. And the reason why Trump has, oh well, we're gonna lay some tariffs and sweat them out, sort of thing, become a part of the 51st state, whatever. We do have a lot of resources and we have so much potential. And all I think we really need is somebody who is smart enough to utilize that. And Trudeau was a fucking moron, is a moron. He was shutting down so many things, including the pipeline, that a lot of the pipeline in Alberta, that a lot of the even the natives, the Aboriginal people, were backing because not only were they going, did they stand some employment, they were going to employ many natives, but they were going to generate money back into the community because of this. And they were all for it, and Trudeau shut it down. Why? Why? You know? So I this is the problem when a country has fallen too far left, and that's what has happened here. We're too far left, too far left. And is Polyev the answer? I don't want to say he's the answer because he's not the answer. He's Mister. I'm gonna swing the pendulum from the left to over to the right, too far right. Is he going to correct things? He may correct a couple things, but in 4 years, you're not going to correct the damage that's been done over the past fucking, almost 8 years, whatever that fucking Trudeau's been in power for. They need to conquer countries to spend their money. Yeah, but this is War of the Worlds. Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry. Sorry. Like I said, I'm still getting over this cold. But anyways, it's funny. Americans think that we have free healthcare. Ugh. What is free about it? We pay taxes to make it free. It's not free. We still pay taxes. It's a universal healthcare because we pay into it. It's not free. But to the Americans, they think we get free healthcare. We don't. Misconceptions. Misconceptions. Ugh. I'm just reading the chat here. Hold on. Anyways, I may come on later on, but like I said, hey, Mr. Bengal, how are you? Good to see you, John. I'll open this up a little bit, anyways, for a little bit. I'm going to go for maybe about a half an hour longer because I want to. I really, really want to watch. the the crash retrieval. Well, there you go. If anybody wants to join for a little bit, by all means, click the link, and I will put there's the link there for anybody who's interested in watching the crash retrieval disclosure interview. There's the link there to go follow. Hey, Wayne, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. Speaking of Wayne, and you know what, Wayne, thanks for popping in. When I wanted to get into this, there's a lot of fucking drama going on in in the paranormal community, and I love it. I fucking love it. I really do. I love it because people who are faking shit hate it when people call them out. And I love it. I love it. Honestly, if you're gonna put yourself out there, and I may piss off a few people, but I'm sorry. I this is the way I've always thought about it. Me being an investigator of 30 years now, you need to have people who criticize and scrutinize your work. And if you don't like it, you shouldn't be in the paranormal. And your first mistake is to rebuttal and try to cover up your fucking mistake. Because now your mistake, the fucking can of worms have been open and people now see it. You're making yourself look worse. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I've been dealing with this for so many years, and it hasn't fucking changed. It hasn't. It hasn't. Crying the fucking blues because a debunker, if you will, has come in and scrutinized your work, and all of a sudden, oh my God, he's a bully. He's not a bully. They're simply pointing out the wrongs that you are fucking presenting. Learn from it. Move on and learn from it. And I hear people, I've constantly heard people go on about unity in the paranormal. How are you ever going to have unity in the paranormal when you have one? It's like politics. You have the right, you have the left. There's no in between. Hey Neil, how are you? Good to see you, man. Yeah, sounds good, Neil. It did, didn't it, John? But what I'm saying is, like, it's like politics. You know what? Let's face it. There is no regulation of the paranormal, right? There isn't. There is absolutely no regulation. So of course people will exploit it. And people have. And people continue to exploit the paranormal and think that they can continue without somebody calling them out. Now, I'm not going to fully put myself behind all these debunkers, because in the same hat, you look at the background of a lot of these debunkers and you said, what fucking credentials do they have to debunk? Many of them don't. They're just looking to sort of hop on that sort of, hey, they have a million fucking subscribers or followers. I can get some by creating a little bit of havoc. And that's what's happening. Hey, Safari, how are you? Good to see you, man. And that's what's happening. But still, you do need that sort of that 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 level of responsibility. You do need to have people that are questioning what is going on. You do need to have that. I mean, hey, let's face it, you do need to have it. I mean, I I present something. You go ahead. You scrutinize it. I want to hear what you think. I want to know what you think. You believe it or not, that's up to you. This is what I found. This is what I experienced. You tell me, you know, I will absorb your opinion. But there are, like I said, people are too fucking touchy-feely in the paranormal because they've had it so good for so long without somebody fucking picking on their work. Oh, hey, I've gotten away with it this long. Let's take it a little further and further and further. And then all of a sudden, wait a sec. Somebody decides, okay, this has gone too far. I need to call it out. And there needs to be people like that. There needs to be people like that to keep things in check. Because there's certainly, do you think anybody from the scientific community is going to come out and say, hey, you're faking? Hey, Tails, how are you? Good to see you. You're faking. Do you think that they're going to take the time out of their busy fucking schedule and the research and whatever that they're doing to tell you that you are faking? No, because it's pseudoscience to them. They don't care. Do we need to set up a hierarchy to regulate the paranormal? You know, I've never been one to have a hierarchy, a peer review uh, sort of structure to the paranormal. I've never been a fan of it because I mean, when you look at all these organized structures, they're all corrupt. They're corrupt as the things that they're fucking analyzing. They're all fucking fallible. Humans are fallible. We need to have aliens looking at it. You do, John. You need to have ground rules. You really do. You need to have ground rules. I mean, for crying out loud, if there's no ground rules, this is what happens. This is what happens. People are crying for, oh my God, I had some debunker. Oh my God. It drives me nuts. I'm sorry. Click the link if you want. I'll go for a little while longer, anyways. Like I said, hey, Michael, how are you? Good to see you. I do really want to watch this crash retrieval, UFO crash retrieval interview at 8 o'clock. So I want to prep myself for that. But I may come in later on tonight and kind of talk about it and see if there's a few other people that might want to come in and talk about it too. Perhaps Matt or hey, Mr. Steve Wills. Steve, if you're still up later on, if you'd like to chat about it, I would love to get your take on it. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm still alive. I'm like I said, I'm still I'm getting over this cold. This knocked me crazy. This has probably been the worst cold I've had in a long time. You know, this is this is This I have not had this kind of a cold in a long time. Even COVID, I've had COVID 3 times, and COVID wasn't this bad. COVID didn't have anything on this cold. This knocked me silly. Normally, I have no problems working or whatever else through colds, but man, as Neil pointed out, hot toddy. Well, thank you for joining, Wayne. Always appreciate seeing you, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see everyone, by the way. This is spur of the moment. Figured I'd come in here for a little bit, let you guys know I'm still alive. I mean, I've been wanting to come on. I know Matt was live there last night. I was gonna, pop in there, but I go, I just don't have the energy for it right now. And like I said, I slept most of last night into today, and I feel like 100 times better. Um, no, Sean, no, I have not seen that. I have not seen it. I look as like I said, I've been on the sidelines, so I don't know. Sean Ryan had something. Steven, put the link out. Put the link there. I need to see it. Oh, I know, John. I know. Like I said, I have never thought about faking anything with the paranormal. In fact, I've done many, even with I've done many TV shows, and every time I have said okay to those TV shows, I've said I'm not faking anything. I'm not faking anything. I will refuse to do the show if you ask me to fake. I don't do that shit. It's not worth it. Sure, Michael, you can do that. Yeah, contact me, buddy. It's not worth it. It's really not. Look, I can understand somebody who's like new and fresh in the paranormal who's just getting started out, and really in this day and age, it's hard to find a good mentor. It's hard to find something to latch on to make you understand the paranormal on a better, like on the proper sort of scope, if you will. I mean, when I started doing this like 30 years ago, I mean, I had books, and I'm not saying all the books were proper, you know. I didn't have to worry about TV shows. I didn't have to worry about YouTube and social media and shit like that. I did a lot of reading, and not just on ghost hunting and so on and so on, but I read about investigation techniques. I read about photography. I, in fact, went to film school and learned about photography, being one of the sub sort of aspects. Hey, Andrea, how are you? Good to see you. I learned about a lot of this stuff. And I remember years ago on, Coast to Coast with Art Bell, the classic Art Bell, and we all know he was the greatest entertainer out there. And that's exactly what it was. When orbs first fucking busted out on the scene and everybody was going crazy about orbs, and everybody was capturing an orb and not realizing that a lot of this stuff was environmentally based. It broke out mainly due to the Digital point and shoot, when that became a reality, when people started purchasing digital point and shoot cameras, you know, everybody was getting fucking orbs because you had the fucking automatic flash and you had the IR sensor. Point it at that light, you'll get an orb, no problem. And you know what? I'll tell you, there's some pretty pretty popular people in the paranormal that I dealt with that told me years ago that if you did this, you would get an orb. And this is people who were fucking popular in the paranormal. I'm not going to name anybody. It's not what I'm doing. I'm not a fucking outer. I should be, but I'm not going to be. But I knew better. I knew that that was a load of fucking shit. Do your fucking research. Do your research. That's all that it takes. Do your research. You know what? Your scope of understanding doesn't begin and end at fucking ghost hunting. If you're going to be using some sort of equipment, learn about the equipment. Learn about what that equipment can do. And learn about the problems the equipment has. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of communities out there that with, a sort of camera or video camera or whatever, you know, they will highlight stuff that they've had problems with. You know, you need to understand the inner workings of the tools that you're working with, especially a lot of these parlor tricks out there. There's tons of parlor tricks in the paranormal. There always has been and always will be. The ovulus, the paranormal pucks, the spirit boxes, and so on and so on. In fact, psychics. I'm a psychic medium, but I need a spirit box to communicate with them. Need I say more? But that's what I mean. And trust me, as long as Alex and I have been doing this fucking show, Nocturnal Frequency Radio, we've always, always, always questioned that shit. Always. You have to question everything. If you're not questioning everything, well, let's see here. How many of your nation's long dead trading posts? You know what, Neil, I've not had the chance actually, not actually been able to do an actual trading post because a lot of them are more north, very north of here, where I'm at. But I would agree, yeah, there must be a lot of activity. I mean, there's a couple posts, more like forts, and a lot of the forts that acted as kind of trading points do are very active. I mean, I've done a few forts, Fort Niagara and Fort Erie and so on and so on. And yeah, they do, Kingston. They do have some, some really interesting uh, activity. If a medium claims that they're real, and they approve themselves scientifically. You know what? I find Ween. I find that there are people that do have an ability, and I won't say that it's impossible, but I find a lot of these people that do have an ability, they are in the shadows. They don't announce themselves. They don't say, "Oh, hey, look, I've worked with the police. I've worked with this. I've worked with that." You know, and if you would like to have a reading, uh, uh it'll cost you $7.99 a minute. You know, when they charge, obviously, right there, charging right there is a big fucking red flag. When a lot of them are looking for the limelight, a lot of them really do look for the limelight. And why? But there you go. Why is a broad question, and they have their agenda. I have the same software. What? Okay, so Skinwalker Ranch. Are you saying you believe what you're seeing on the TV show, Steven? Is that what you're saying? It's easy to replicate. But are you saying that you believe that show? Hey, David, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Are you saying you believe Skinwalker Ranch? It's a TV show. Steven, come on. Tell me you don't believe Skinwalker Ranch. I'm not saying that there's nothing going on with Skinwalker Ranch, but the TV show, that's exactly what it is. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah, absolutely. There's something funky going on. But yeah, the TV show is bullshit. Yeah, I believe that. I agree. I don't quite. Sorry, is. I don't get is a paranormal entity can walk through walls, etc. How can a circle of salt stop it? Yeah, mindset. It's just like when somebody tells you your house needs to be cleared, cleansed. Hold on, I will spark up the sage. I'll spark up the sage. It's a mindset. I know I've mentioned this story before on the show. I was contacted by an elderly couple who they were having a horrible time in their house. They for several years they were having this really weird noise that was very creepy and scared them. And they called in this couple in to investigate what it could possibly be because they didn't know what they were dealing with. And the couple that went in there did their, mojo and quite basically said to the couple, "Well, your house is infested with demons and we need to cleanse the house to get rid of them." And of course, I mean, they had no idea. Yo, do what you got to do, just get rid of it. We just want to get rid of it. We believe what you're saying. And of course, $8,000 later, they cleanse the house. They leave. They're gone. And guess what? It didn't help. It didn't help. It did not help. Didn't help. What they were experiencing was still going on. And when they contacted the people back and said, "Look it, Still happening. We want our money back. No response. Crickets. Nothing. Hey, Max, how are you? And so, what did they have to do? They had to go through the channels they needed to go to get these people and bring them to court, charge them, bring them to court. Took them to court, got their $8,000 back. They got their $8,000 back. And they asked us to come in. We went in to explain what properly is going on. And all that was going on, that they paid $8,000 to have their fucking house cleansed, was water pressure. One of the pipes in the basement had come loose from the anchor, the loop anchor in the ceiling. And every time the pressure would come on, it would rub the fucking bracket and make this really fucking eerie noise. Scared the shit out of them. And when we brought this to them, hey, Laura, how are you? When we brought this to them, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we were hearing. So all you have to do is hammer it in tight. And that's what we did. We hammered it in tight. The bracket was in there nice and firm. The pipe wasn't moving or rubbing anymore. It wasn't making the noise anymore. And didn't cost a cent. Sab, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. Didn't cost a cent. But yet, somebody almost got away with $8,000. This is the problem. That's only one of God knows how many fucking stories of people being rooked. People exploiting the paranormal. But that's the way it goes, and like I said, you do need, like I said earlier, you need people to call those people out. You really do. No matter how much you don't like them, you need them to keep the record straight. You need to keep things straight and rational. Because there are too many people, way too many people in the paranormal that are running rampant. But with that, I'm going to end this. I might be back later to do a show on the crash retrieval. Until then, guys, take care. Good to see you all. I'll be back later, you all.